I want to talk about me. I want to talk about the times I was a little kid and maybe the times I was on the iron grid. I want to talk about the times I was hurt and confused. I want to talk about the times to which I was abused. Or maybe the times I felt like $1,000,000 because those times are far in between and few. I want to talk about the woman that birthed me and why I refuse to call this woman mom. I want to talk about my son. I want to talk about how my father is the greatest man that I have ever known. I want to tell you about how I have seen more dead bodies than I have seen years on this earth. There's so much that I want to tell you, but then I begin to feel like a woman whose heart has been severely broken. I start to feel like a man whose pride has been shattered and drained from his strength, like when she shaved Samson's mane. And because I get this way, instead of trying to converse about the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly, I put a smile on my face and my guard is raised. I'll blow you kisses from my wrist so you know that my love for you will never die in vain. What's the point? I find myself asking this question a lot, and the only logical answer I can find is because the sky is blue. Let me paint a picture for you with my words because I have never been very good with the paintbrushes. I want to talk about how you are the water that feeds the seed to my soul, yet you're simultaneously this black hole that I'm just never able to fill. I want to talk about how I want to overlook this black hole so much that I just start thinking about forever way too soon, because the way that my life is going right now, I'm just a rusty fork that's trying to eat like the silver spoon. Word to lemon. See, I don't get on the stage for you to hear me talk because you have never been here to listen. I get on this stage and I look down in the preparatory manner to see if I am ready to spread my wings and take that leap of faith. And the only thing that I can think of is the stature to which you are held in my mind is nothing short of pulchritudinous. Safe to say and easy for me to admit that a wandering mind is my biggest flaw. Even when I wind is someplace beautiful with you, I find myself thinking about you way more than I deserve. Me being head over heels and desperately in love, or you still having no idea. I'm still debating on which one is worse. Hurt people, hurt people. Say it again. Hurt people, hurt people. I don't want to be remembered as that hurtful person who hurt people, because no one will ever see that you are hurt. So they'll forever label you as evil, and then you find that one that has you jumping through flamed hoops like Knievel, and as much as you try to prove yourself, they will never believe you because they too are hurt. Even though they may have influence and awaken the hurt in you, you were willing to change and love them while they never noticed that them being hurt was ultimately hurting you. See, there is a difference between talking and speaking. There's a difference between being a leader and actually leading, a difference between having a purpose and having a reason, a difference between having faith and just believing. There's a difference between being afraid and having fear, and sometimes the best way to talk is with your ears, and sometimes the best way to see is through the magnification of your own tears, and sometimes the best way to be heard is to remain completely silent for everybody to hear. See, the idiocracy ideology between what is and what ought to be has left me dumbfounded, because the more immoral we behave, the more we are viewed as being well-rounded. She said, "You have such a way with words." Well, I'm thinking I would rather have a way to her, but her love seems to only cater to jerks. She catches him cheating. He apologizes with a smirk because he knows she ain't leaving. His mouth says, "I'm sorry." His eyes, they are deceiving. See, the pages in my pad are like the days of my life. One side's the day and the other side's the night. The ink that helps me write is like the blood that helps feed my life. The pages I've written on, that's my past. The pages I'm writing on now is the weight on my back. The blank pages to come is like the path ahead of me, so I literally make my own path as soon as my pen starts to bleed. I find you pathetic and weak. It's okay because somebody probably thinks the same about me. The only difference is you actually care what I think. Well, it's nobody's thoughts will ever hurt me. See, you ain't shit. Hell, I ain't shit. The difference between us is you refuse to admit it, so you can miss me with all that high horse self-righteousness because you being mad about me is only bringing you lifelessness. Stay mad. I think that we as men need to make a better effort to respect our women. I think that love is extraordinary and therefore should never be limited. I think that we say, "Do you?" But if you do you, and it's different from them doing them, they feel they have the right to criticize and belittle those that actually do themselves. I think you're the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. I think that you would complete me. I think you would take care of me in ways I never knew care could be provided. I think that I love you, but I am just a poet, so which one of you would actually give a fuck about what I think? It's a cold and lonely world for a person like me who wears a heart in their sleeves, and the feelings that others harbor for me, please understand, it means very little to the interest of my being. I will pursue a better life until there's no more that I can there's no more that I can flourish, even if this means living an entire life malnourished. Understand that you could be anything on this earth except for my downfall. Let's get a round of applause to those of you handling your biz, tending to your wife and kids. Remember, if God brought you to it, then he will bring you through it. Even if you're scraping the bottom of the rock with a loaded 40 Glock playing this game and you're ready to lose it. Never consider your failures failures. Consider them all lessons well learned. Farewell, my friends, because this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Give it up, give it up, give it up.
No, I'm good. I'm actually really happy that you are here because you inspired this poem. A couple years ago, I got into a heated conversation online with somebody about toxic masculinity. And I was trying to say that there is toxic masculinity, but masculinity in and of itself is not toxic. And they kept calling my rebuttal toxic, like I was confronting, like, no, you're wrong. And they were like, well, fuck you, you're toxic. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry if that's how you feel. But you got on and said, I never felt that your masculinity was toxic. You always seemed to make everybody around you feel safe, and I enjoyed having you around when you were. That struck a chord. The first fight that I was ever in, I lost. But in my defense, I was heavily outnumbered in stats because his reach was damn near my height, at least 5 to 8 weight classes removed between the ages of 4 and 8 years old. Most of my mother's boyfriends must have really enjoyed exhibition matches. One of them used to choke me until my field of vision would become blurry. He would let go just in time for me to gasp what felt like my last breath of air. He would take both of his hands and place them on my chest and press, preventing my lungs from expanding. Just take a deep breath. It was a statement that's never been very calming for me. One of them liked the sound of a hard leather sole cracking against my bare flesh. Another one would just splash cold water into my face repeatedly. And if I was really bad, he would hold me down by my neck and slowly pour a gallon of water into my face. At the time, I thought that I was a bad kid and everything I got I deserved. In full disclosure, the beatings were not the only abuse that I endured, and that's all that I got to say about that. I haven't always been this size. Believe it or not, I got bullied a lot, mostly because we were poor. And I didn't look like my brothers and sisters. And my hair grew into this pre-puberty half-breed monstrosity that made me look a lot dirtier than I was. In school, we used to get our weekly spelling test that we took on Friday, graded and passed out on Monday. And because I can't spell for shit and dyslexia is a son of a bitch, my second grade teacher would routinely start my week out with some words of encouragement. She would slide my failed spelling test across my desk and whisper, "Still stupid, I see." Fuck that bitch, look at me now. When I was 9, I thought things would change. I was removed from my environment and placed in a home where I was actually able to eat regular meals. It was great. It took me until I was about 28 to understand that while my sister's older friends who liked to play house well past bedtime may have been fun at the time, but was ultimately rather damaging. See, I am a broken man, doing my best to maintain in a world that says that we are not supposed to have feelings. I am a broken man. We as men are not supposed to hurt. And if you do, you keep that shit to yourself because you cannot be made to seem like a bitch. I am a broken man, doing my best to holster the monster within for the sake of my 3 innocent kids. I am a broken man, typically quick to anger and wanting to solve every problem life throws at me with my fist. I am a broken man. I've gaslit, I've misled, I've misused, I've lied to. I've lived in the constant state of mind that you will not hurt me before I hurt you. I am a broken man. I am a broken man. I am a broken man. I was a broken man, but I will no longer bend to the social restraints that maintaining this image of masculinity means pushing my mental health to the back burner. I'll be the example for my son. I'll teach him that being a man is not about getting old. It requires your health to be in good standing in body, mind, and soul. I'll be the blueprint for my daughters. I will instill in them that respect is a must from any partner and that the only job that they have as women is to be the woman that makes them happy and proud. I'll talk to my wife. I'll tell her whatever I am feeling whenever she asks. I will seek her comfort when my reflection pisses me off. I will no longer live as a broken man for me, but continue to always try and be a better man for them. And for those of you who had the misfortune of knowing the worst version of me, along with my sincerest apology, I offer you one guarantee. I promise my trauma will end with me. Thank you. My biggest problem is letting my mind wander into the world of imagination and not being able to decipher the difference between what is actual and what is fabricated. So I believe what I think, and I think that it is actual, and then I become more angry and bitter than I have to because I'm afraid of what could be but isn't. Hysteria, I live it. I wish I had more control. I wish I could quit it, and every single time I take steps of advancement, I biff it and fall all the way back down the staircase, driving myself crazy in my own right. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what insanity thinks like. I have been told that my way with words, be they nouns or verbs, seems to just stick and sink, told that I'm so in sync with my views and emotions and artistic ability, but the aptitude that I possess with my pen and my pad really refrains myself from killing me. See, Sometimes I just want to make a clean cut from the top V of my rib cage to the tip of my umbilicus just to see if I could pull my own heart out while it still beats and feasts as if I were an Aztec god. Self-empowering in just one bite. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what insanity sounds like. Beat up around the knuckles and bruised around the heart, scraped elbows and knees and skin that obviously has never seen the land of milk and honey because it's tough as scales, dirty and bummy, cracked and split, calcified, blistered and cut, measles and mump, nipped and tucked, still fat as fuck. And if this is what I see when I review my reflection, imagine how I feel when I look on the inside. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what insanity feels like. See, the way that you see me and the way that I see me are two different viewpoints. That's two different things. Don't ever tell me to count my blessings as if I had ever forgotten to, because you don't know the battles that I'm forced to participate in every day, because you either die or you live. You drown or you swim. And I'm not asking any one of you to feel sorry for me, but sometimes it'd be nice if you left me the fuck alone. I can handle this all on my own, and you are only adding to my stress level when you say things like, you need a man up. Fuck you, bitch, I am man enough. And if you don't like it, then you can just leave, because people walking out on me has been so reoccurring that you're only making it easier for me to cut you out of my life. Take a look at the man on the stage, because this, ladies and gentlemen, is what insanity looks like. If I'm being honest, our foundation was not the strongest. It had cracks and holes, and the basement of our relationship would constantly flood, almost always with alcohol. And I'll take the blame for that. That's my fault, because truth be told, I never told you when we first met that my middle name was self-sabotage. If I'm being honest, from the moment I saw you, I knew that you could be the bell to my beast. And that scared me, because I had lived so long as a monster, I thought that I might change you before you could change me. If I'm being honest, in the beginning of our relationship, I didn't realize just how broken I was. I held the broken pieces of myself together with multiple bottles of liquid courage from the bottom shelf, because at the time, that's all that I could afford. The numbing emptiness allowed my reality to contort, believing I could live like this until my life was done, because at the time, the only thing separating me from my grave was figuring out how to say goodbye to my son. If I'm being honest, you kept me alive. If I'm being honest, I hadn't the slightest clue that you too were broken. And you set your feelings aside in the pursuit of me, driven by your curiosity to find what's underneath. If I'm being honest, you believed in I more than I ever believed in me. If I'm being honest, I'm not much of a man, but I'm light years beyond where I was before you because of you. If I'm being honest, I met my match because I tried to get you to leave. It had nothing to do with you. My problem has always been with me, but you stayed. And I could never just figure out if you were just stupid or strong. If I'm being honest, over time, I'd have to say the latter. But I have a platter of adjectives that would better describe the beauty that encapsulates you. Selfless, patient, understanding, artistically honest. If I'm being honest, my favorite part about you is watching you be a mother. The way our daughters favor you over anything else in this world, I see your love in each one of their smiles as it curls. If I'm being honest, I doubt I'll ever be 100% healed from my traumas. But you give me the courage to try. You pull the extraordinary out of me. Because of you, I'm not afraid to dream. Because of you, I have reached some goals. And when I don't, it's not because I failed. I just need to readjust my aim and try again. If I'm being honest, when push comes to shove, she values nothing over our love, and if you had to, you would be willing to hurt with me. Certainly work with me, because relations are a two-way street. When this baggage gets heavy and my shoulders become weak, when I am feeling worthless, my wife still sees the worth in me. Thank you.